morning. On behalf of the trustees of the National Sports Centre, we're very pleased to welcome the President of FIFA. This is a truly momentous occasion for Bermuda and of course for us up at the National Sports Centre. We're in ideal weather for football, but perhaps not ideal weather for seeing Bermuda. But the President's assured me he's enjoyed some good weather while he's been here and has had a great time so far. So our welcome to the President. We hope that he leaves with a favourable report of Bermuda and has enjoyed his time here. With no further ado, I'll pass you over to the President of the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. Wade, who of course is absolutely no stranger to National Sports Centre.
Thank you, George. Good morning, everybody. As you can imagine, this has been a whirlwind visit. The President arrived at about 1:30 this morning, and then he will depart at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. But we're certainly grateful to have him visit Bermuda. You can imagine having 211 countries to visit, and Bermuda makes it on the list. It's fantastic. And in over 30 years, we haven't had a FIFA president visit Bermuda. So we've had a stop with the Premier, we've had a stop at the Barclay Institute, and we'll stop at Cedar Bridge to see some of our national team players. So it's exciting. But without further ado, certainly I'm not the star of the show here. I just want to introduce Gianni Infantino.
Thank you very much, Mark. Well, what can I say more if not that I'm extremely happy to be here in Bermuda today to visit this beautiful country, but also, of course, to visit these facilities, the sports center here. I'm a bit sad because it's a sports center. It should be a football center only. Since I'm the president of FIFA, it would be much better. But okay, we can live with that because it is so beautiful, and it's important to have to do sport, whatever sport is, whatever sport you want to do. Better if you do football, but okay. We met this morning earlier the Premier, and I can testify and confirm that he's a great football fan, which is always good. And I can just again congratulate, that's what I did also in front of the Premier, the excellent work which is done by Mark and his team at the Bermuda Football Association for the development of the game worldwide. As FIFA president, I have 211 member associations, member countries, and in all of these, our mission is to develop football, is to bring joy and football to the people, and that's exactly what I can see here. Not only because you live in a beautiful place, but also because you have one passion, and this one passion is called football. Football is a magic game. It's a game that you play certainly with your feet, but most importantly with your heart, and this is what should always be at the key of what we do for all our boys, for all our girls in Bermuda, all over the world, for the boys, for the girls, and for those of us who remain boys and girls for their whole life, especially when they see a ball and they want to kick this ball. So some great work in terms of football development, some important projects ahead that we will work on together, FIFA and the Bermuda Football Association. I'm looking very much forward to our cooperation, and certainly as well to coming back to this beautiful place. Thank you very much.
I don't know if anyone has any questions for any of us, really. Certainly, we'll be introducing Mr. Earl Basin from Island Stats.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to Bermuda.
Good morning.
We recently had talks with the executive about development of football, women, and youth. Can you share what, on the European side, can you share what some of that was like as opposed to what you will find out in the Caribbean?
Well, differences are not that big actually. Of course, if you compare Bermuda with big football nations who have millions or even billions of inhabitants, as it is the case in some countries, like China, who is now investing a lot in football as well, but even the historic countries, England, Germany, Italy, Spain, and so on and so forth. Of course, you cannot compare what is done there. But even in Europe, we can see that there are countries which are of a similar size as Bermuda, smaller countries. Iceland, to just give one example, the obvious example, obviously, these last few years, which is a country that's a little bit bigger than Bermuda, 300,000 people, but they qualified for the Euro and they performed quite well in the Euro, and now they qualified as well for the World Cup, kicking out a country like Turkey of 80 million inhabitants and finishing first in a group with Croatia, who is certainly one of the strongest European teams. So when it comes to the performance of the top level, of course there is work to be done, but there are possibilities because it starts from the grassroots and from the youth. And for this reason we were discussing about the situation in Bermuda in terms of football infrastructures, in terms of pitches, because what we need for the boys and girls to play football is mainly pitches, and then of course equipment and staff to be with them. Now the expertise is certainly here, the equipment we bring it, and for the infrastructure we work on together and also together with the government. So you will certainly see in the near future more beautiful football pitches in Bermuda, where the talent, boys and girls, can grow and prosper. And we will see next World Cup, maybe.
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 When you decided to become the president, what was your aim and focus on redeveloping or redesigning the whole structure of FIFA? Because it was in turmoil when you pressed the vote.
It was a turmoil. I think that's quite a diplomatic way to put it.
Something like you were?
One could use other terms, indeed. But let's stick to turmoil for the moment, because anyway, you know, the past is the past, and we have to make things obviously better than what happened in the past. And for me, it was very clear from the very beginning when I started even to be candidate to become FIFA president. The key was and is to bring football back to FIFA and FIFA back to football. I think that maybe it was a little bit forgotten what the main mission of FIFA was and should have been, which is to develop football and to organize football all over the world. We are a football organization. Our mission is to do exactly that, and we shouldn't, you know, lose our heads in trying to do other things which then end up in being maybe some dodgy affairs as well. We should focus on the football. We have to bring in the football legends, for example, to help us in spreading out this message. We have to invest, and it's one of the first steps that we put in place after my election, to increase significantly the funds available for investment in football development, in infrastructure, in courses. And as a matter of fact, we increased this amount from $400 million to $1.4 billion, so 1 billion more over the same period of time for which a budget was made. So we can already see now, I think, the concrete results of these investments, which is exactly what we have to do in terms of football development, but then in terms as well of the image and reputation of FIFA, which was the other key factor that we had to make much better through the reforms that we have put in place.
Morning, Fred. Bermuda is going to be participating in the Nations Cup this year, starting this year. How do you think that tournament is going to benefit the smaller countries and their aspirations of one day qualify for the World Cup and to help develop these smaller countries?
I think it's a great idea and a great tournament, because to improve you need to compete. If you don't compete, you cannot become better. Now, to compete you need to play matches, but you can play friendly matches. It's much better to play competitive matches. And it's much better to play competitive matches against competitors of more or less the same level, where there is something at stake in terms of the ranking, in terms of a promotion, a relegation, a possibility to win a tournament and create an engagement by the people. So all those who are now starting to play football or who are playing in youth teams and so on, they have one, I would say, additional event, so to say, to look forward to, which is national team, where the whole country can, be proud and vibrate for the players. And for this reason, I welcome that opportunity certainly very much. And I'm sure the results will be seen very, very soon for Bermuda, but for the whole CONCACAF region. I can say this because, as you know, before becoming FIFA president, I was in UEFA. I was general secretary of UEFA, and that's exactly what we did in UEFA. We created competitions for boys and girls to play, to compete, and that's why they improve. Otherwise, there's no chance.
One of the things you talked about also before you became president was your wish to have the World Cup increase to 40. Initially, you mentioned that 48 teams.
Yeah.
I guess you're still working on a point for that, but you're pretty happy with that.
No, I'm very happy. I was speaking about increasing to 40 from 32. We made even better. We increased it to 48 because actually the format with 48 works better than the format with 40, and we can make 8 more countries happy. The positive of it is that not only you involve many more countries, and today I think the quality of football worldwide is very high, so there is no risk of diluting the quality, but importantly as well, you can play a World Cup with 48 teams in exactly the same number of days as you play the World Cup with 32 teams. You can play it in exactly the same number of stadiums, 12 stadiums, as you play the World Cup today with 32 teams. The winner of this World Cup with 48 teams will have played 7 matches, which is exactly the same number of matches that the winner of the World Cup with 32 teams plays. So we have been able to find the right format, which doesn't increase the burden on the player, but boosts football worldwide much more, because there is nothing that boosts football more than participation in an event like the World Cup.
What about video technology in football? Do we have it right yet, or we still got to find it? I'm thinking of things like, this is annoying to a lot of people watching television, the players dive. How do you get that right? It's very prevalent in football.
Yes, we are currently testing video assistant refereeing, and we'll take a final decision at the beginning of March at the IFAB meeting, the International Football Association Board meeting. The test so far, which we started 1 week after my election, actually, in March of 2 years ago, the tests so far have been very, very positive, and I believe, even though I was skeptical at the beginning, but I said to myself, well, if we don't try, how will we know? The tests are very positive, and it's true that today in 2018 anyone in the stands or at home, within a few seconds, with a simple look on his mobile phone, he will know whether the referee has committed a big mistake. The only one who doesn't know it is the referee himself, and not because he doesn't want to know it, but because we prohibit him from knowing it. Now the referees have already an incredibly difficult job. If we can help them a little bit, and within a few seconds we can prevent them from making a big mistake, then this is what we should do, and we are working exactly on that.
If you have this dual line technology, for example, but you don't have it in other areas of the game.
Correct. That's what we are working on, yeah. And I hope that on the 2nd of March we will approve it, so that in the World Cup we will not have only goal line technology, but also video assistant refereeing. Will not solve all the issues and all the discussions if I do this or this, or is it a foul, is it not a foul? I mean, he's a big guy, if I do this he will not fall, but today in football he may maybe make a whatever, and the referee gives a simulation. It's hard to see, and there will always be interpretation questions for the referee to decide, but at least if he scores a goal with his hand or from an offside position of 2 meters, well then we will know it, and we'll correct the decision.
Finally, how has your first year been in presidency? How has it been?
Exciting. An exciting first year, a challenging first year as well, of course, but very exciting, and to see what football means to many parts of the world is something that I had not realized being in Europe and being in charge of the Champions League and all these great competitions. When you travel the world, when you see how the passion for football exists in many countries, some of which have nothing than football, I mean, it's just fantastic. So we need to work even harder, but it's great. Thank you.
Question for the President of the Football Association.
Sure.
You know that the FIFA president arrived in Bermuda as the CONCACAF president. Does this start to show people in Bermuda that Bermuda is being recognized at the highest level of football?
Oh, most definitely.
Yes.
This question's not for me. But yeah, I mean, most definitely. We strive to from an administrative perspective, strive for excellence, and we're now striving to get that excellence on the field of play where it matters. So we're grateful that both presidents came to visit us and demonstrate that they're a part of our team and we're a part of their team.